Once upon a time, on a beautiful afternoon, there was a lovely young girl who found herself in an awkward conversation. It was all because of our protagonist, a courageous young man determined to express his feelings. He had been friends with the girl, Dayan, for some time, and now he felt it was time to confess his affection. He mustered the courage to share his genuine emotions with her. Siwoo, our protagonist, confessed that his feelings had developed over their years of friendship. But Dayan, upon hearing his confession, wore a perplexed expression as she contemplated how to respond without causing any harm. Siwoo, at that moment, had a hunch about what Dayan's answer would be. He gracefully apologized, realizing he may have put her in an uncomfortable spot, as he was aware that Dayan did not share the same feelings. Dayan, on her part, was reluctant to hurt Siwoo's feelings. She chose her words carefully and tried to soften the blow, offering explanations for her decision. She acknowledged Siwoo's good qualities, such as his kindness, sense of fun, talents, and good looks. Dayan made it clear that she didn't dislike Siwoo, the feelings were just not mutual. After the conversation, Siwoo's friend was waiting for him at the school grounds. Sensing Siwoo's despondency, the friend inquired about what had happened with his confession to Dayan but decided not to press the issue further, given Siwoo's downcast mood. Siwoo had tears in his eyes, and it was evident that he had been deeply affected by the rejection. He explained to his friend that Dayan had rejected him because she wanted to focus on her studies. However, his friend, knowing Dayan's academic performance, found the excuse less than convincing, until a soccer ball appeared and almost hit Siwoo. His friend was shocked to witness Siwoo having fast reflexes despite being busy. To his depression, the players apologized for almost hitting Siwoo with their ball, but Siwoo seemed more focused on his hatred towards his body figure. His friend agreed with him since he had known Siwoo for a while. Siwoo was even good at sports and could jump so high despite his being overweight, and with every meal he meticulously calculated the calories. His friend believed that people who were on a diet could follow Siwoo's healthy activity. Siwoo returned home, still plagued by sadness. Strangely, it wasn't the rejection that weighed on his mind the most, it was his dissatisfaction with his own appearance. Siwoo began to question whether his genetics were to blame for his body figure. He looked at photos of his parents and noticed that both of them had a normal body figure. This perplexed him, especially considering his father, who had a muscular and imposing physique. Siwoo found it unfair that he hadn't inherited his parents' ideal body figure. Fortunately, he had a loving and supportive mother who always made him feel good about himself. She didn't let him become overly conscious of his weight. Siwoo had never met his father, but he had heard stories about him. His father had been a famous wrestler with an impressive record, despite a short-lived career. According to Siwoo's mother, his father had a natural physique that built muscle easily. Despite feeling down, Siwoo tried to stick to his healthy lifestyle, hoping it would lead to positive changes in his appearance. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that his efforts were in vain. In a moment of rebellion, he contemplated indulging in unhealthy junk food. But as he stood there with a bag of chips, he felt that his body craved the healthy choices he had been making. It was as if his body was more comfortable with a healthy lifestyle. In the end, Siwoo chose a salad, opting to stick to his healthy lifestyle despite the stress of his appearance. Later that evening, he clung to hope and went for a run. He covered a distance of 4 kilometers, pushing himself to the limit. The memories of his rejection played in his mind, fueling his determination to achieve his body goals. As the night grew darker, Siwoo continued running, reaching an impressive distance of 15.4 kilometers. But his body began to cramp from the exertion. In his exhausted state, he found himself in an unfamiliar place, enveloped by thick, eerie fog. Luckily, he had a map to guide him on his way back home. That's when an enigmatic old man, appearing as if from a fairy tale, emerged before Siwoo. The old man had an air of resentment, seemingly tied to Siwoo's bloodline. Siwoo couldn't believe his eyes as the old man approached him, driven by an unsettling grudge. Siwoo was terrified, yet he managed to ask the old man if he was alright after seemingly jumping from a bridge to get a closer look at him. The old man assured Siwoo that there was no need to fear him and that he had no intentions of harming him. He introduced himself as Mangti Halabam, ushering Siwoo into a world of mysteries and adventure. He introduced himself and shared a peculiar legend that Siwoo found unsettling. Mangti Halabam resembled Boogaman, a figure from legends who dealt with misbehaving children by ensnaring them in nettles and taking them away. However, at this moment, Grandpa Mante was occupied with tending to the yokai in his world's peninsula and took on the role of a divine judge. It became evident to him that Siwoo had no knowledge of the world he had entered. With a deliberate motion, Grandpa Mante pulled a nettle, intending to introduce Siwoo to the Yokai World. He wrapped Siwoo's body tightly in the nettle, a terrifying experience for Siwoo, who struggled to break free. His confusion deepened, as he had no understanding of the bloodlines or the yokai world. Finally, Siwoo was deposited in an unknown place, surrounded by a magical aura bathed in pink light. It was a breathtaking sight, and Siwoo was rendered speechless, feeling as though he had been transported into a fairy tale world. Grandpa Mante confirmed that this was indeed the yokai world. Siwoo was encouraged to observe his surroundings, and to his astonishment, he found himself encircled by mythical creatures, the yokai. Siwoo, who had been preoccupied with his health and fitness journey just moments before, struggled to comprehend this new reality. He had been abruptly thrust into this strange world by an old man who seemed to have a hidden agenda. Grand Mengti began by sharing a brief history of the yokai. They were once feared by humans, who regarded them as gods and worshipped them. However, in the modern world, yokai had become mere superstitions, existing only in the realm of imagination. The yokai celebrated the great festival every 666 years to select their king. Grandpa Mante also revealed that yokai clans existed across the world, including the Korean peninsula. Each clan had to send a candidate, a young yokai without any exceptional talents, to participate. 666 years ago, a legendary yokai had reigned as king, but with the passage of time, the yokai world now sought a new heir. Siwoo's panic intensified when he realized that he had been chosen as a candidate of the yokai. Grandpa Mante made it clear that every yokai clan had to send a candidate, encompassing both the yokai and human worlds. Siwoo's heart sank when he learned that he was the sole inheritor of the goblins' bloodline. Despite being a fourth or fifth generation descendant with a diluted bloodline, he was unique. Siwoo couldn't hide his trepidation as he felt trapped in yokai affairs. Grandpa Mante had a different perspective. He wished to test Siwoo to determine whether the legends were mere tales or held a grain of truth. The duel was about to commence, with Siwoo facing an imposing adversary named Ienkai. The odds seemed overwhelmingly stacked against Siwoo due to the vast difference in size between him and the yokai. Grandpa Mante didn't intend to hold back and ordered that if Siwoo were to be defeated, Ogre would have the right to consume his defeated opponent. Siwoo knew he was outmatched, and his opponent, Ogre, was infamous for his insatiable appetite. It had been 666 years since he had last eaten a human, and he was eager for another feast. Ogre didn't hesitate, launching a brutal attack that left Siwoo terrified. Despite realizing he was no match for Ogre, Siwoo found himself in the middle of a ruthless duel. Ogre punched Siwoo in the gut and followed with a swift kick. Yokai gathered around, making it clear that Siwoo's human identity meant little to them. Grandpa Mante demanded that Siwoo prove his worth to earn his right to live. Siwoo had never asked for any of this, and he was still nursing injuries from the relentless assault by Ogre. But his ordeal took an unexpected turn when he was lifted into the air by Ogre and hurled to the ground. As Siwoo's body lay battered and bloodied, Ogre prepared to deliver the finishing blow, eager to taste human flesh once more. However, something extraordinary occurred. Siwoo's body underwent a dramatic transformation. His years of hard work and training had paid off in ways he couldn't have imagined. Suddenly, Siwoo, the teenager who had been insecure about his body, emerged as a buff and formidable figure. Ogre was taken aback by the transformation. He quickly realized he had met his match. Goblins possessed unique talents that allowed them to learn without instruction. Siwoo harnessed all his newfound strength and executed a wrestling technique he hadn't learned consciously. He performed the mountain flipper move, a traditional Korean wrestling form practiced for centuries. In a matter of moments, Ogre was defeated with a single strike by Siwoo. It was a startling turn of events. Siwoo Choi, a 17-year-old human, had awakened his true potential, revealing his heritage as a half-goblin.